was he studying? What was he looking at? What is, where did Jesus disappear to? Come on, come on, come on, come on. I mean, who doesn't want to know that? I wanted to know that. Obviously, other people wanted to know that because the book was actually a big hit. The church didn't like it much, but it was a big hit. So this guy he goes on this journey, and he travels around the world, and he goes and tries to dig up where part of the lost years, or as much of the lost years as he could possibly find. And that's what this section is going to talk about. And as I talk about some of the stuff that I learned from that, and more stuff on top of that as the years went on. I mean, at this point too, remember, I'm studying chi. By then I'm starting to develop these chi powers. I'm breaking coconuts. I'm doing stuff that's just off the charts weirdness, especially in America back in those days, because nobody could do it. It just wasn't happening. It was happening for me, but I mean, the story of my life is kind of a bizarre story anyway, but we're not talking about that much. Well, we're just talking about the internal kung fu aspect of my life in this story, because that's why I think it belongs here, because of chi and whatever. And I'm gonna throw some of my personal opinions in this, because we're going to talk about the followers of the way. In other words, the early Christians, and we're going to talk about their healing abilities and how they learned stuff, and we're going to talk about their human bodies, and we're going to talk about their four components, and we're going to talk about their systems, the systems of their four components, and that had to come into play. And yes, the Holy Spirit was involved. And is the Holy Spirit involved in internal kung fu? No, it's not in my opinion. These are just stuff your body can do. However, still, no matter what, the Holy Spirit has to use your human body. I mean, it's not like, okay, you're going to do this without your human body. You're doing it with your human body. And I'm talking about these people that was followers of the way. They were doing this stuff with their human body. That's why I'm putting these together for you. And you would have to go through the experiences I went through, and there are lots of people on this planet that did study internal kung fu. So find one of those people. They will verify what I'm saying about that aspect of it, about the chi aspect of it, for you, so you can know, okay, this guy's not joking us. He's not BSing us. He's not doing any of that. But I'm going to couple some things together that are never going to get coupled together, because honestly, where the heck are you going to find someone that's into Christianity this deep? Someone that can't stop studying it, even if they want to, they can't. That's me. And someone that's has a master's degree in internal Chinese Kung Fu and has used it on hundreds of people to show the proof of it. Hey, this is really real. That's not an everyday thing. You're not going to run into that every day. So just take all that into consideration as I throw my opinions of this story into what I'm going to say in this recording. Now we're going to transition into looking at this story. Now, let's begin this transition by saying this. This story is allegedly. Let's establish that this story is allegedly, and I'm probably going to say allegedly maybe once, maybe twice, and that's it. And part of the reason for that is because this thing's already been on the History Channel, and it's already circulated around, so lots and lots of people already know about this story. I'm adding it in here because it's part of a perspective of, hey, this is the Christian religion, because this is the Christ, okay? The two are not different things. They're not supposed to be. I mean, in actuality they are, but they're not supposed to be. In the beginning they were not. Okay, let's talk about Nikola Notovich. This is the guy. This is 1890s or 1900 or something like that. Anyway, you can look all of this stuff up. It was so long ago that I looked at this, and I'm just winging this recording. So you can look all of this stuff up and correct anything I'm saying that's out of place. I'm just putting the story in front of you because the story is incredibly relevant to the 21st century, and I'm not kidding. You'll see by the time you get done listening to this, you'll see the relevancy of this. I'm just going to call this guy Notovich. Now, Notovich, or the Russian guy, that's even easier for me to remember. So the Russian guy, the Russian guy comes from money, and he says, all right, well, you know, I'm really curious and blah, 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 and I've heard these tales and blah, 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 so I'm going to go investigate this stuff because I can. So he goes up there to the area in the Himalayas where modern Pakistan, India, Tibet, China come together. There's a giant swath of area where it comes together in the Himalaya mountain range. Anyway, so he starts going into these temples and these places that have been there for a long, long time, like thousands of years, okay? This is not some brand new culture. This is a very old culture. I mean, you know, Moses and the Hebrews is one culture. It's not all the cultures. There's other cultures. Very different cultures. But there's only one earth. There's only one universe. There's only one system of here's life force. Okay? That's what I want you to understand while we're listening to this. Now, so he goes inside these places, and he's looking for evidences of these things he's been hearing because he travels in these circles of money. So he's hearing these weird tales about Jesus, and Jesus was here and Jesus was there, and I mean, if I'm him, I'm going to be like, what? Are you kidding me? Only I'd be saying it in Russian. So I would want to know. And if I had the means, I would be like, I mean, honestly, if I had the means, I would go there right now today. I'd be on a flight, and I'd be like, yes, I got to find this for myself. But fortunately, today, we live in a time of the World Wide Web. Now, you know, an interesting note on that is, if you look at the Silk Road, or you look at the trade routes now called the Silk Road, before they were the Silk Road, they were called something else and something else and something else. These things predate the Romans by centuries, okay? They're very, very old. As a matter of fact, they're so old as some of the oldest routes on planet Earth, bar none. These cultures are very old cultures, really old cultures. And these are the routes. It's a network of routes. Now, if you kind of look at these routes and say, well, if these were virtual, it would kind of like be the beginning of the World Wide Web. But instead of just using our minds, we're using all four of our components, and we're hauling our bodies around, and we're saying, okay, well, let's go investigate this, let's go investigate that. I just thought I'd throw that thought in there because it just crossed my mind. It's kind of interesting. So to make a long story short, the Russian guy ends up in these temples, and in these temples he's finding evidence of Jesus Christ living in certain of these places for, you know, long extended periods of time. He's finding evidence of this, and then a guy that follows him later, I want to say 40, 50 years later, maybe not that long, I think it's another Russian guy. I don't know, just look it up, okay? Just wiki it or whatever, just look it up. Instead of me trying to make everything perfect. I'm just telling a story. But the guy that follows up later in time, a decade or two later, he throws another version out there, and because he finds other more pertinent information. And it's very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay, now I've already mentioned this. Now let me throw this out at you because it's so important to the 21st century. So important what Jesus was actually doing over there in India, Tibet, China, and those places along that Silk Road in that part of the world for all those extended periods of time was actually absorbing the ideas, the traditions, the this, the that, the methods, and all of these kind of things that had to do with their perspective of God. Do not ever forget, Jesus Christ is first and foremost a planetary God person. A planetary God person. Now, I hate to... No, I don't. I don't hate it at all. I kind of like it, quite frankly. You know, God isn't just, okay, I'm only in the form of the Bible and that's it. That's it. Everything else is crap. Rah! No, that's not God. That's somebody's made-up religion. That's ideology. Ideologies always pervert the truth. Maybe tiny little bits, maybe great giant big amounts. Who knows? But they always pervert the truth. They take the truth and start bending it into, how are we going to benefit out of this, huh? Our group. Yeah. In fact, if you read the accounts, and I'm not sure if I saw this on the History Channel or not, or I actually read it, but if you look at the accounts, you're going to find out that Jesus actually pissed off the Hindus when he was hanging around with the Hindu people, the Brahmin people, because he did not like that they were doing the caste system ideas and they were treating people so shabbily. You know, let's not forget ever. Let's not forget this ever.